From up here, it may seem relatively calm and unchanging from week to week, but as you get closer, you start to see some of the forces acting on this stretch of sand and changing it over the course of days, months, years, and even centuries. In the long term, the most prevalent forces acting upon this stretch of coastline are the tectonic processes, with sections of rock being pushed together and forced upwards to create the land masses. However, for the purposes of this study, we're going to be focusing more on the short-term factors shaping this beach. These include the wind, rain and waves all acting together to form processes of erosion, transportation and deposition. Along the beach to measure the width of the beach, along with taking a profile and pictures to see if we can find any trends in the shape of the beach. Each of the 4 sites we're using in this study are very unique. Site 1 is the path. It's a common access point to the beach where many people are walking up and down constantly every day, and as such we're expecting to see more erosion in this area along the dunes than in others. Site 2 is further about 100 metres north along the beach. It's in an area with no paths up and down and minimal usage by people. As such, we're going to expect to see the most naturalistic version of events here. Our third site is located at the rocks. This is a point where we have a series of rocks jutting out towards the ocean across the beach, and as such for our study they'll be able to provide a solid reference point to gauge changes to the beach. Our fourth and final site is located at the northern end of the beach. This is where a creek mouth opens up onto the sand. In times of storm, we have the water actually flowing right out across the beach to the ocean, which we'll see some dramatic effects as far as changes to the beach is concerned. When we move on to the results, it's going to be very important to look at some of the general background information of the forces that we're acting upon this beach. This way we have a better understanding of just what is happening in this area. Now there are 2 major types of waves that affect this beach. The first are the destructive waves. These occur mostly in times of a storm and have a very high height in comparison to their length. As such, with them you're going to see a far weaker swell than the backswash, and as such you're going to see much more material being dragged out to sea and an overall depletion of the beach. The second type of wave is a constructive wave. Now this is very much the exact opposite of a destructive wave. We're seeing it more in relatively calm times such as this. And with these waves you're going to see a much longer width as opposed to their height, and as such you're going to see a stronger swash as opposed to the backwash as well. Because of this we're going to see more deposition on the beach. Now what's very important to remember is that the beach is not a single mass, as it may seem to some. But once you get closer to the shore, you start to realise just how there are millions of these tiny particles of sand. Now these particles change from very coarse to the very fine within the same section, just depending on the conditions that they're facing. And because of this, you're going to start seeing very different amounts of erosion within this very small area. Now, water is affecting the beach in a number of ways. Collectively, these different processes are known as the processes of wave erosion. First of all, is hydraulic action. In this, the sheer force of the wave smashing against the rocks forces air into the tiny cracks and pushes it open, so that over time it's going to slowly dissolve and break down and be washed away into the ocean. Now, the second form of wave erosion we're facing here is abrasion. In this process, what we have is tiny particles being held already in the wave, rubbing up against the rocks and wearing them down much like sandpaper on wood. The third process that affects this coastline is attrition. Now, in this one, you have particles which are already being held in the wave, much like a gradient, colliding with one another as to further break them down in these conditions. The fourth and final form of wave erosion we're seeing in this area is chemical erosion. In this form, what you have is the acidity of the water actually causing the wear down on the rocks all on its own. This is most noticeable in softer rocks. Now that we have a better understanding of the processes that are taking place, we move on to the results of our study. Our study started just after a period of heavy rain. We've had several storms pass through the area just before the study began. And so, over the 8 weeks that we've watched in this area, we've seen mostly the pre-construction. At the beginning of this study, this area of coastline was described by one local resident as the thinnest it's been in the last 5 years. Since then, we've watched it grow back out to its regular size and almost triple in width. Here at Site 3, the changes are the most evident. Using the rocks as a guide, you can see how the shape of the beach has changed and slowly leveled out as the material is slowly brought up on edge over the course of the 8 weeks.